Hi, I'm Foilman from Mods Online, and I'm here to give you an introduction into the Call of Duty 4 mapping and modding tools. They've just been released, and we are ready to start making our own custom maps and getting into making mods and stuff like that for the Call of Duty 4 game. And I want to give you a very brief introduction into working with making maps for the game, because some people are finding it confusing to install and run the program and just get the first map out there, while others may be very new to this. This may be a brand new experience and you need something easy, such as a video. So here we go. I'm going to give you an introduction into this. Now, I'm going to assume that you've already installed the game and played it at least once. It is going to be important for later that you have played the game. So at least start up the game, put in your profile name, both single player and multiplayer, by the way. And then I'm going to also assume that you've already downloaded the compiling tools, the CoD mapping compiling tools. I have already, which is right here, the mod tools. Now, if you have not, then you should probably head over to modsonline.com and you'll find some right here, an option to download the mapping tools. And if you don't see this, you'll also find some great tutorial links over here on the left-hand side, and forums full of people who are willing to help. You can see it's already filled up, and this is within the first few hours of having the tools released. So if you're having trouble, try that. You can also try codhq.com. COD headquarters, JD over there put up the file for us the first time, and great downloads and everything. Okay, so let's assume that you've already downloaded this now, and I'm going to double click it and start opening it up. Now, this is a fairly large zip file. Look at that, 600 megs. And it contains all the files that you're going to have to extract into your games folder in order to run the tools. And I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. It's so big, I'm still waiting for it to open up. There it is. Now you see, lots of files. And as I said, you need to extract these files into your game folder. So what you want to do is you want to press the extract button. And then you want to go over to the drive where you installed the game. And you want to go to Program Files, Activision, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, and that's the folder you want. Then press the extract button, and it'll start putting the files where they need to be. So I'm going to close that up, because I've already done this, but you would actually run the extraction, then you can close that window. And then what you need to do is you're probably going to want a shortcut in order to get to the compile tools, because it doesn't put a shortcut on your desktop, but it does install the necessary program. So I'm going to open that folder up again here, and what you need to do is go over to the program files on the C drive in my case, and go over to Activision, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. There's going to be new files and folders in here, and in the bin folder is another folder called CoD4 Compile Tools. Open that up, and here, CoD4 Compile Tools.exe. That's going to be the program you need to run. So I just right-clicked, I said send to my desktop, and now I've got a nice little shortcut over there. And I'm going to launch that up right now. Alright, there we go. Popped up over my window. And now if you don't see this window right away, it's because this is it's the first time you're ever running it, and it's going to say, okay, where is my CoD4 PRG file? A PRJ file, and that's your project file for the game, and it needs to know that for the necessary information for running this tool. And it should open up with a window that automatically shows you the CoD4.prj file. And if it does not, well, then you need to go into your bin folder, your Activision Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare bin folder, and here it is right there, CoD4.prj. And then you select that and press open, and it should open right up for you. And then you'll get this window. And right here we have, this is where the game is installed. That should be right by default. We have our level compiling options. These are the levels that we have available already made. We didn't make any of these. And how we can compile it and then run the game later. And then over here we have our applications for launching the level editor, the effects editor, the asset manager, run converter. Really all I'm concerned about in this brief tutorial is the level editor. And then we have some documentation and tutorials. And although we should have Mods Online on there, huh? But click on this link. You really need to click on this link, and it's going to open up the modding tools, the wiki for the modding tools, and then you want to create a bookmark on your browser for this, because you'll be visiting there a lot, I think, especially if you like this, because there's going to be plenty of tutorials and information that'll be easy to find and easy to follow. Alright, so let's go over to the level compiling. It's time, or our applications. It's time to open the level editor. So click on that button and give it a moment. You see it's starting to load up. And for those of you that have mapped for Call of Duty before, will say, hey, I know this. This is Radiant. Yeah, it is. So it's going to be very familiar for you to work within this editor if you've already done so before. Now, a quick rundown on what we're looking at here is obviously we have our menus and tools. We have our 2D window. Now remember, the game runs in 3 dimensions, 3D. That's left, right, forward, back, up, down. But we can't necessarily instantly map in all those directions at once, so it presents it to us in 2 dimensions at a time, sort of like a piece of paper in grid work. So I can work on this dimension, and then I can work on others, which I'll show you later how to flip back and forth. But we don't even have to in most cases, because right here is our 3rd dimension, our Z window. So we have X, Y, and Z. Those are your 3 dimensions. Now over here is a 3D previewer, so this shows us all 3 dimensions at once, so we can kind of get a rough idea of what our level looks like before we actually start playing it. And over here we have the textures. These are the images we can apply to walls and other surfaces in the game to make it look like a level. Now if when you open this up and you find it running kind of slow, perhaps you want to reduce the amount of information that's being drawn by the textures themselves. And you can do that very quickly by going up into the textures menu here and going down to, now what was that? It was texture resolution. We can change the resolution of the images being loaded. I just have it on normal, but you can switch it to low if you want. And then you can also change the texture window scale. Now by default you probably already see 50%. These big images, but I'd like to be able to see more of my textures at once, so I'm going to go into here and change it back to 25 so I can see more, and it's easier to find them and just pop them into the game. Now that you have a rough idea of what the editor is like, now what we want to do is we want to select our base texture for creating the level. Now base texture is something that should be used whenever you're creating all your levels. It is a texture that does not require a lot of resources when loading in the game, and that's important because let's say you create a wall and the player never sees the other side of the wall. Well, that would be a waste to load the texture on that other side of the wall because the player never sees it. So we want a base texture, something that doesn't take up any additional resources. And in this case, that base texture is called the caulk texture. And I'm going to show you how to find it, because looking through all these textures, it's going to get kind of difficult. So what you want to do is you want to narrow your selection here. So I'm going to open up this textures menu and go to locale and change it to tools. That'll give me my tools textures, the textures related to the editor itself. I click on that.